Katie. Guess who found her tripod? It was in the living room. I didn't even think to look in the living room, but it was in there, just hanging out, waiting for me to find it. So now you're back on the tripod. Can you even tell, really? Maybe a little bit. Anyway, hi. So today's video, can't really snap. Today's video is going to be another installment of Travel 101, how to live in a car, how to travel, how to sleep in a car, all that kind of stuff. Today's video is going to be all about safety. So it's safety about traveling alone, safety about sleeping in your car, and that's kind of it. Just kind of how to stay safe. A lot of these are going to be common sense, but some of them I feel like I have to say anyway, because sometimes we don't think about things that are common sense, even when they're common sense. Sometimes we just don't think about them. So I'm going to give you a little list. This might be a shorter video than my normal ones, maybe. And so if you're interested in these kind of Travel 101 videos or any of the lifestyle videos that I do, the mental health videos that I do, some food videos, anything like that, I really hope that you're subscribed and following me on Instagram as well. I do some fun stuff over there, but without further ado, I need some water. So just as like a real quick reminder before I get into this video, I lived on the road for years. I slept in my car for years. I have mostly felt completely safe. There were a couple times that I felt a little iffy about something, but the overwhelming majority of the time, I felt completely safe. And I think that this is something that if you've never done it, it does seem scary. Being on the road by yourself, sleeping in a car by yourself, driving around the country by yourself seems scary if you've never done it. Just like a lot of things seem scary if you've never done them. I think a lot of things are easier than you think. They're safer than you think. They're just a little bit different than you think. And so I understand if you've never done this before that it's gonna seem scary. Sleeping in your car for the first time is gonna seem scary. And so that's why I wanna give you some of these precautions and some of these just little safety tips that might just help you feel a little bit safer, because just because I've never really had issues does not mean that I'm gonna like leave my car door open and like make friends with strangers. You know what I mean? Like you still need to take precautions, but you know, a lot of things that we do have some safety concerns, but this is just, you know, if you want to be on the road, whatever. I'm just gonna get into it now. Okay, I have a little list. This is for a different video, don't look at those notes, but this and like a little back here, little list of safety tips. Again, a lot of them are going to be common sense, but some might just be things that you're not really thinking of, or if this is your first time traveling and you're super overwhelmed, here's just a list. As always, if you guys have any other ideas that I did not mention, I would love for you to write them in the comments so that I can hear them, but that also other people can hear them as well, so we can all like share and be friends and like chat with each other. But yeah, these are just some of my ideas about how to stay safe when you're traveling in your car, especially when you're alone and especially when you're sleeping. All right, number one, always tell a family member. Did I just show you the back? No, you can't see that. That's secret. That's next week. Okay, number one, always tell a friend or family member where you're going and where you're sleeping. Maybe tell them what town you're gonna be in, if you're gonna stop for a few hours, and then tell them where you're gonna be sleeping. Again, just as a safety precaution, if you wanna just text your mom, hey, I'm gonna be at this pilot in this town, here's the address or something really quickly, just in case. Don't tell the internet though. Don't be like public about it. That's actually a different bullet point, but I'm just gonna tell you now. Don't tell strangers where you're going. If you just met someone, if you were like at a restaurant and you just met someone, don't just go tell them, oh yeah, sleeping at that pilot down the street. Don't do that. If you meet someone in the pilot, just someone like in the beef jerky section, don't tell them that you're gonna be sleeping there. Just tell someone that you trust, just so that they know, just in case. But telling someone that you don't know, telling a stranger, could actually put you more in danger. So don't do that. Seriously, don't do that. And then in terms of when you're sleeping in the car, just make sure that your doors are locked and have your keys with you. So like I sleep in the back and I always just put my keys right up here. Right over there. Just to have them like in quick arm's reach. And then in terms of traveling by yourself with other people and sleeping in the car, have some sort of protection, whatever makes you feel safest. I have pepper gel and a really loud like button. I think I might have a whistle too, but I definitely have at least one or two of those really loud buttons. So that's helpful when you're traveling by yourself and walking around outside or whatever. Also really, really helpful when you're in the car, when you're sleeping. Because again, you guys know if you've watched a lot of my other videos, when I sleep, I usually sleep in parking lots and there's usually other people around. So if for some reason I did have an emergency and I hit one of those loud buttons or whistles, someone would hear me, because there's usually someone sleeping within, you know, a couple feet or 20 or 30 feet, or even people, if I'm sleeping at a gas station or something, people might be in and out of the store. So like someone would hear me, or it would scare the person. If there's something going on with another person, it might scare them, or something like pepper spray or something as actual protection. So when we're talking about sleeping in your car, don't leave your car unless you have to. if you're sleeping somewhere like a Pilot or a Walmart or whatever, if you're sleeping in like public land in isolation by yourself, that's just a different type of being safe. But so a lot of these that I'm talking about like sleeping in public places where there's a lot of people around. That makes me feel safer most of the time. However, even when you feel safer, you still have to take precautions. You know what I mean? So don't leave your car unless you have to. When I park at a Pilot, say, or a Flying J or something, once I park, I do not leave my car unless it's like an emergency. If I am gonna go to the restroom right before I sleep, which I always do, I usually go to a different spot, a different gas station, a Target, a Walmart, a TJ Maxx or whatever, and then I drive to where I'm sleeping. There have been a couple times in the middle of the night that I've gotten sick or something and I've had to go into a truck stop restroom or something, and I've always been fine, but just limit that if you can. Probably not gonna be an issue, but again, just to like limit anything bad happening, just to like minimize that chance. Really, 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 really try not to leave your car, and really try to like not let other people see that it's like you sleeping in a car, because people are obviously going to know that someone is sleeping in that car, but I think it's really good to make sure that they don't see that it's you. No matter who you are, no matter what gender or size or age or anything like that you are, it still is just going to be beneficial if nobody knows exactly who is sleeping in that car, even if it's obvious that someone's sleeping in it. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Okay, if you do have to get out of the car, have your phone with you. Have your phone with you. And then the next one was call someone if you're gonna go out of your car at night. And especially if that person knows exactly where you are, then that might add a little bit of security. I think I've heard before though that sometimes being on your phone while you're walking puts you a little bit more at risk of things. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. I do feel safer when I'm on the phone, but I'm also being really, really, really hyper aware of what's going on around me. And if I tell my friend exactly where I am, I'm a lefty. If I tell my friend exactly where I am and I'm on the phone and I'm super hyper aware of what's around me, then that has made me feel a little bit safer. Because again, a lot of it is being like hyper aware and like super focused on where you are. One thing that might make some people feel safe is to plan a little bit and scope out some places. So if you're gonna be in the same place for a couple days and you have already kind of, you know, looked up on some apps or online a couple places that you were thinking you might wanna sleep at, go visit them during the day and kind of scope it out a little bit. Maybe see, okay, well, are there some places in the back or on the side that I think would be good to sleep in? Or does this look like it's in a really sketchy area that like I don't know if I'm gonna feel safe here? Or you could even read some reviews or something, you know. I think trust reviews again with like a grain of salt, because there are some places, you know, that people will hate but that you would feel fine at, or some people they only really say the negative stuff but then you could go and it's great. But scoping it out a little bit during the day or doing some research online might make you feel a little bit better by the time you get there. And that could just be with anything when you're traveling. If you're thinking of some places you might want to go out to eat or something, or if you just want to walk around, just doing a little bit of like just some Google research of, you know, safer parts of towns or fun things to do in those towns or something like that, having a little plan like that, and then maybe scoping out some places that you might want to sleep could make you feel a little bit safer. Also, I just noticed this shadow, this like low shadow. All right, what's next? What's next? Only a couple more. This is gonna be a quick video, guys. Like my quickest video I've ever made. Okay, another one. This one's pretty important. I mean, they're all important, but this one's like a little like, act like you belong. Don't act scared. Be confident. That's all one, because it's kind of all the same thing. Act like you belong. You know, if you look a little like, if you're, say you're in your car and you're about to walk into a Target and it's like 11 o'clock at night and you've never been there before and whatever. If you kind of act a little like this, people are gonna know. So if there is someone around you who is thinking of doing something bad, they might see you as someone who like is weak. You know what I mean? So if you just kind of act like confident and you know where you're going, you're walking and you're good and you're not being hesitant, you'll seem that level of confident that people might be a little bit less likely to mess with you. You know, it's that kind of thing, like act like you belong. I think that that's really important. I think it's really, 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 really important that if you are going to be in public, people are going to see you, act like you belong. Whether that's during the day, whether it's at night, whether it's, if you're going to be sleeping in the car, whether you're not, whatever it is, if you're in a place that you don't really know, or even if you're in a city that you know and that you go to all the time, still act confident, because it's going to lessen your chance that like something is going to happen if there was ever going to be something that's going to happen. If you are confident and you just look confident, or even if you're not confident but you look confident and you act confident, then, you know, people will think that you belong. And then on the opposite of that is be inconspicuous. And you guys know I don't like that word. I don't like the sound of it. But like, on top of acting confident and acting like you belong, kind of also do what you can to be hidden. do what you can to be hidden. Because again, like I said earlier, you do not want, no matter what gender, what size, what age, no matter what, you don't really want someone knowing that it's just you sleeping in a car. Again, these are just mild safety things. Because people have seen me before and I've been totally fine. But these are just little extra things of like little extra safety things. Be inconspicuous. Also, that's just polite. If you're gonna be sleeping at a truck stop or something, it's just polite to be inconspicuous. Like, don't play loud music and like grill out of your trunk and then stay somewhere parked for 3 days. Like, you know, be polite. Have a backup place to sleep. This is obviously in terms of sleeping. This is a very important one. There have been a couple times, and by a couple, I mean a couple. I mean maybe out of the hundreds and hundreds of times I've slept in my car, maybe 5 or 6, like a very, very few amount of times that I went somewhere and either someone saw me and I knew that they saw me and it just didn't feel right, because it's a lot of trust your gut, It just didn't feel right. And so I left. Or one time that some guy like struck up a conversation, and one other time someone tried to strike up a conversation and I just like didn't feel great because I was already at the place I was going to be sleeping. And so I ended up leaving. But again, it only has happened a few times that I felt like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, this feels weird. And then so having a backup place to sleep, or just kind of know, okay, there's a couple other places in the area that I might be able to try out. That's a good idea if you feel like in your gut that the first place you went to isn't right. It's a lot of trusting your gut. Don't talk to strangers where you're sleeping. I already said that, but I'm gonna say it again because I wrote it down again. Don't talk to strangers where you're sleeping. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, because you don't know who these people are. And it doesn't mean that they're all bad people. 99.9% of people are great. So it's not like assuming the worst all the time. It's just protecting yourself. You know what I mean? We can still love people. We can still give people the benefit of the doubt, but while still kind of keeping them a little bit at a distance in terms of our safety, if we're putting our safety first. And in situations like this, you got to put your safety first. So again, within the same category, if you think someone is kind of looking at you, leave. I don't mean like if they're just kind of like glancing because there's people around, but if you think that someone's like staring you down, don't stay there. And then hopefully you'll have a backup place and then you can just go there instead. And then the last one, which I just said, but I'm gonna like talk about it for another minute. Trust your instincts. If you don't feel safe, leave. That's something during the day. That's at night. That's if you're sleeping. That's if you're just traveling. That's if you're about to go into a restaurant. That's if you're doing anything. If you're about to go into a public restroom, you're going into anywhere where there's people or where there's not people even, you gotta trust your gut. And that's sometimes something that you have to learn, like how to trust your gut versus your feelings versus logic, all that kind of stuff. Differentiating those kind of things might take a little while to like learn. But once you know what your gut is, like, then it's very obvious. And so if something feels really, 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 really off, then leave. Don't stay there. Again, whether it's during the day, whether it's at night, whether you're sleeping, whatever it is, trust your gut. All right, guys, I think that's gonna be it. I hope that you enjoyed this little quick safety video. Again, I know that a lot of these are pretty common sense, but it's a lot about just being hyper aware of your surroundings and trusting your gut, which sometimes differentiating what your gut is could take a little bit of time, you know, differentiating between that and your heart and logic and what other people are telling you and what society's telling you and other people's opinions and all that kind of stuff. But when you really learn how to trust your gut and when you are just hyper aware of your surroundings, then feeling safe in your car is not really that hard, honestly. Again, I've slept in my car hundreds of times. I traveled alone for years and years and years, and there have only been a couple select times that I felt unsafe. Again, a lot of it is doing these easy things. The things that I mentioned are super easy, and again, a lot of them are common sense, but it's doing that mixed with having your guard up, mixed with trusting your gut, I think is really what it is. And also, obviously, making sure that you always have gas. I really don't think that it's safe to go under like a third of a tank, maybe a quarter of a tank, but like do not go empty when you're on the road. Don't do that. Especially if you don't really know where you are. I would say don't go lower than like a third of a tank or even a half of a tank. You know, always do the upkeep on your car, have snacks, have food in the car, have drinks, have AAA or something like that. You know, just a couple extra precautions. Just take some precautions. I think that if you're going to always consistently worry while you're traveling, you're not going to enjoy what you're doing. But if you just completely forget about safety, then you might put yourself in a little bit of risky situations. And so I think that there's a super healthy middle ground of enjoying your time, having fun, seeing new places, doing really cool things, sleeping in your car, doing things that maybe you've never done before, but also just having your guard up and taking some safety measures. That's really all it is. This shadow is getting real severe. So I'm going to go. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. I think we only have a couple more videos left in this series. So I hope that you've enjoyed all the other videos in this series. I think that we have like the adulting stuff. I think that video is going to be next week in terms of like laundry and mail and stuff like that. I think that's going to be next week, and then like 1 or 2 left. But I really do hope that you've been enjoying this series, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. I love you. Jesus loves you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. Shadow man.